December 18th, board meeting for the Port of Lake Charles Harbor and Terminal District. And would y'all please stand for invocation by Mr. John and the pledge by Ms. Julie.
In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Father in heaven, thank you for bringing us all here today to handle the public's business. We pray that our decisions are just and have the community in mind to move us forward. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to
The flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, the board encourages public comments and questions regarding all agenda items. Persons wishing to do so should complete a speaker's card there up in the front of the boardroom. When speaking or asking a question on an agenda item, one should, in addition to completing the card, come to the microphone, be recognized by the board, and provide your name, address, and phone number. Comments by the individuals be limited to 3 minutes. Okay, the first thing on our agenda are the minutes from the last meeting, and I don't think we've had any comments, so I need a motion to approve.
So move.
Second.
All right, motion approved and seconded. And anybody have any comments? Motion passed. Okay, the next up on the agenda is submission number 2025-049. Mr. Ricky?
Yes, Madam President. Each December, we submit to the board proposed meeting dates for the upcoming year. You have in your packet those proposed dates. Just about every one of them is on the fourth Thursday of the month at 2 o'clock, with the exception of November and December, which I believe both of those fall on the third Thursday of that month, those 2 months.
All right, any questions? May I have a motion to approve?
I so move to approve.
Second.
All right, thank you. A motion to approve and a second. Having no comments, the motion passes. All right, the next submission is 2025-050. Mr. Ricky?
Yes, ma'am. Each year in December, we propose, the Port of Lake Charles is a member of what's called the Gulf Seaports Marine Terminal Conference, and each December, we propose a rate adjustment to dockage and security fees. Part of this submission and resolution relate to that dockage and security fee adjustment. In addition, this year, we're also made some revisions to the tariff, and you have in your packet kind of the summary and actually the entire tariff that incorporated some of those changes. I won't go through all of them, but if you have any questions, we're happy to answer any that you might have.
Okay, commissioners, any questions or comments? I have a motion, please,
I make motion.
and a second. I think we have a motion and a second, and no other discussion. The motion passes. Submission 2025-051.
Yes, ma'am. In addition to the tariff, this resolution and the submission and resolution relate to the delegation of authority, which you guys delegate some authority to me. When the board was reconstituted in 2003, is when the original delegation of authority was developed. It requires a periodic review. The last time the delegation of authority was adjusted was in 2017. Even then, there were no adjustments to the figures, the amounts that are in the delegation of authority. So in your packet, we have what we've proposed to be those changes, which date back to about 2015, I believe, was the last time they were adjusted. So it's been about a decade since the last time that any of these were adjusted. We're proposing those for your consideration.
And all those are in line with all of the articles and everything?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, thank you. I need a
I have a motion to approve.
Seconded.
All right, I have a motion and a second, and no comments. The motion should pass. All right, next up is submission 2025-052. I guess I should be reading these off. Authorizing the executive director to purchase construction management, field technical, and QA/QC services from River West Enterprises for the construction of various capital projects for the year 2026.
Yes, you actually covered it really well. I mean, it relates to River West for field technical, and owner's representative QA/QC work that River West does for the port. They operate on our behalf under the direction of our Director of Engineering. One thing I want to point out is as the capital projects and the volume of the projects that we're working increase, you know, we're obviously incorporating a lot more of hours from River West, but as those capital projects are on the downward trend, we're not using them as often. So there's a peak and a valley associated with using them as a contract QA/QC, and we feel like overall it's a benefit to the board.
Any questions or comments?
Yeah, I'd like to make a comment. I asked during the briefing, I'm assuming we're satisfied with River West, and Nick said they're very satisfied. I noticed Mr. Abshar's in the room and just wanted to comment on the job you've been doing here.
Absolutely.
Thank you,
Yeah,
sir.
thank you.
Move to approve submission number 2025-052.
And a second?
I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? All right, so we will, that motion passes.
Moving on to submission 2025, and let me do apologize. For some reason, I thought we were gonna start today at 5, and I do apologize because of what's going on after the meeting. So again, my fellow colleagues, I do apologize for that, for being tardy. Moving on to submission 2025-053, authorizing the executive director to extend the contract with Wesley Security System to continue providing supplemental guard service at port facility. Mr. Self.
Yes, as you mentioned, it relates to guard services with Wiser Security Services. We hire gate guards, and will continue to hire gate guards. There is a lot of turnover in that job category. We have MARSEC requirements to provide gate guard services, and because of that, we obviously have to have that supplemented when we are unable to hire enough qualified individuals for those positions. And therefore, in the last few years, we've contracted with Wiser, and we'd like to do that again for 2026.
Any questions by the commissioners?
I'll make a motion to approve
Second.
submission 2025-53.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, that item will pass. Moving on to submission 2025-054, accepting the lowest responsive bid of Doggett Machinery Service for the procurement of a new John Deere 1050P dozer for BT1. Mr. Self.
Yes, sir, we use 3 dozers at BT1 to manage the coke pile and reclaim coke to the feeders, especially when we're loading the vessels. In 2012, we purchased 3 over time. They obviously need to be replaced. We replaced 1 in 2024. We went out for bid earlier this year. We only got 1 responsive bid. We revised the bid, and we received 3 bids this time. The lowest bid was Doggett at a price of $797,000 for the dozer.
I so move to approve submission 2025-054.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, that item will pass. Moving on to submission 2025-055, appointing John LeBlanc to serve on the Board of Directors of Port Rail. Mr. Self.
Yes, sir, the bylaws for Port Rail, which as you recall, is the short line railroad that we have here in Lake Charles. Their bylaws require that the Port Board appoint their board members. Mr. Oakley, once he became a Port Board member, kind of rolled off his previous position on Port Rail Board. And so John, I'm sorry, I slipped my mind. Mr. John LeBlanc has offered to serve, and we're proposing that to you for your approval.
I'll make a motion to approve submission number 2025-055.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, that item will pass. Moving on to submission 2025-056, approving revisions to the employee handbook. Mr. Self.
Yes, Mr. President. Every 2 years, we submit to you any revisions that we've made to the employee handbook. Typically, those revisions involve, uniform policy, things such as that. This year, again, it's uniform. There was a revision to the uniform policy. There was also a change in civil service between what they call PESs, which is kind of the evaluation system that they use. It's really just kind of a nomenclature that they use now. It's called CPM. And then we also included veterans in a protected status. And so we've modified the employee handbook to incorporate all those changes.
Thank you for that, Mr. Self. Any questions by the commissioners? This time, I entertain a motion.
Move to approve
A
submission.
second?
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, that item will pass. Moving on to our last submission is 2024-057, approving the district's 2026 operating, non-operating, and capital budget. Mr. Self.
Yes, I'm actually going to turn it over to Cameron, that has a presentation
Go
for you
ahead,
to
Mr.
go
Cameron.
through
Yeah.
and kind of go over a couple of slides and describe and give a good overall review of our 2026 budget and how it compares to 2025 actuals.
Yeah, so in your packet, you have a copy of the 2026 budget, which includes information on the budget preparation, financials, as well as the capital projects for 26 all the way through 2030. This PowerPoint, it provides a little more detail on the information that we used for the budget, so some of this may not be in your packet, so yeah, keep that in mind. Okay, so this one's a little tough to read. It kind of breaks down our traffic for forecast 3 of 2025, which includes January through September of 25, and then a forecast for the remaining 3 months, because we actually prepare it in October, and then what we budgeted for 2026. So looking at this, most commodities look to be well in line with what we did in 2025. There are a couple to point out, such as the forest products, which includes lumber. We do anticipate that going down, as well as the cement. And then on the flip side of that, at BT1, we do anticipate petroleum coke and barite to increase, mostly offsetting the decreases for the forest products and cement. Overall, we're looking at about a 50,000 ton decrease from year to year, which is actually less than 1%, so pretty well in line with what we saw in 2025. Moving to the financials. Vessel and cargo, we do expect an increase, mainly due to that growth at BT1 of the pet coke and the barite, and obviously offset by the lumber and cement. We also saw a new revenue source come to us in the latter months of this year. We're moving rock trains over at the Industrial Park East, so that's also included in these tons, but not reflected on the traffic outlook. So that's a new revenue source for us. Rental, we do expect to decrease slightly. We had a termination of one of our large leases in latter months of 25, and obviously we won't have that income in 2026. But pending new leases and things like that, that could be offset. On the expense side, we do expect wages to increase as we fill vacant positions and periodic increases for all of our employees. Contract services, we do anticipate higher litigation costs just due to the current progression of ongoing litigation, and then we expect that to be somewhat offset by lower insurance premiums, which I will discuss later. And then depreciation towards the bottom, we expect to increase almost $3 million. There's quite a few projects, large projects that we anticipate completion in 2026, so obviously we'll start capitalizing those. And then on the non-operating side, the only item to mention, interest expense, we expect a full year of the 2025 bond issue interest included in there, so that's expected to increase. Cash flow, $18.2 million versus $17.9 million in 2025, around a $300,000 increase. Not shown on here, but in your packet, you'll see actually the comparison to 2024, which actually shows from 24 and projected 26, about a $6 million increase in cash flow and EBITDA. So pretty healthy growth over the years.
Very good.
Yeah,
Does the
absolutely.
shiploader, have anything to do with the increased, estimate from BT1?
It's lower expenses, yes.
It's not impacting the volume.
It's not
Right.
impacting the volume.
It's
it's
Right.
just not, doesn't
more
impact
efficient.
traffic, but it improves our cash flow and reduces the expenses.
Right, yes, sir. So on to the capital budget. You can see the column PYE is prior year expenses, so what we've already spent on projects that are ongoing. 2026, obviously what we expect to spend in '26. And then future years' expenses is 2027 through 2030. So in 2026, we anticipate spending around $132 million, with $62 million of that out of pocket. With that being said, a portion of that is anticipated to be reimbursed, but in future years. So if you look in your packet, you'll actually see in 2027, we have a negative out of pocket. It's because a large portion of that 26 funds are being reimbursed in 2027. And then in future years, $151 million and $91 million out of pocket. And this is just kind of to show you what portion of those projects are continuing, so things that we've already presented to you in the past or that we've already spent money on versus new projects that we anticipate starting. So continuing projects, $127.5 million in '26. New capital projects, only $1 million. So we're really only starting $1 million worth of new projects in 2026. And then same thing, look in the future years, $9.7 million started. Not a huge number compared to what we already have ongoing.
Can you find anything else to build, huh?
Well, he'll find something, I promise.
One more prize is only $1 million, Ken.
And then these are just a list of costs of minor projects by department, 3.5 million or 3.6 million in 2026. So those are smaller projects like purchasing vehicles, things like that. And then finally, our cash outlook, our current investment as of November 30th, which includes restricted and unrestricted, is sitting at $100 million. There's a breakdown of our cash flow, $18.2 million, all the restricted items, and then our payments, capital expenditures. Our unrestricted investment at year end, we anticipate to be around $17.2 million.
Okay. Thank you.
That's it. Any questions?
Chairman, any questions by the commissioners?
Cement is just due to the LNG difference, is that what that is?
Yes, sir. So essentially, that could be offset by more cement if someone gets one of those projects. Yes, sir.
Yeah, if Commonwealth goes forward, some of those other lines, CP3 goes forward,
Yeah.
the cement could increase.
Yeah.
So it's just a temporary thing, though, for construction?
It's a shame. It's the time I entertain a motion.
I so moved.
I have a motion and
I'll
a second.
second.
Is there any discussion? Any objections? Hearing none, that item will pass. Now moving on to briefing notes. Mr. Cameron, if you would go through financials and FEMA goes up after that, we'll be moving.
Yes, sir. So for the month of November, we generated revenues of $3.3 million, unfavorable about $500,000. A large portion of that is actually due to the termination of that long-term lease I had mentioned. There's a accounting entry that has to be made due to GASB 87 that requires us to record the present value of future lease payments in the year the lease starts. So we basically had to reverse that entry. And that's offset by the payment we actually received. It's just a mess.
It's a convoluted
Yeah.
governmental accounting standard,
Yeah.
but he'll get to a cash
As
flow.
long as
Yeah.
Cameron understands it.
I do. Expenses were $2.2 million, so favorable $600,000. We did have lower operating expenses due to some lower bay rate. We also received a credit from Entergy for some, what was it? It's efficiency program credit, so using efficient lighting, things like that, on some of our equipment and buildings. And then the main thing to point out, cash flow was $5.4 million. Again, we received that lease termination payment, so that's a good portion of it. But even without that, it was a very healthy cash flow. And then on the balance sheet, same thing you've heard all year, increase in cash, fixed assets are going up, and then construction in progress is down slightly due to the capitalization. I can't wait to tell you all a different story, but with ongoing projects in 2026, it might be very similar. Any questions?
Thank you, Cameron.
Okay, on to the GOSEP report. Not much really there. We received about 115,000 in November, so. Yeah.
All right.
Any questions?
Cameron, any
Thank
questions
you.
by the commission? All right,
Thank
thank you
you.
for that report, Cameron.
Yes,
Moving
sir.
on to department reports, administration, finance.
One more time.
One more time.
One more time.
One more time. Always come through for us.
Yes, sir. So we've gotten a pretty solid indication of what our property insurance renewal will look like for 2026. So just for your information, property insurance premium in 2025 was roughly 4.4 million with about a $300,000 continuation credit. So the net was slightly below 4.1 million. For 2026, we determined that it would be advantageous to add some coverage. So we went from 50 million to 75 million in coverage, so a 50% increase. We were also able to lock in a 2-year term for the rate per $1,000 of coverage. So not necessarily specifically the premium, but the rate per amount of coverage based on our schedule of values. So with all that being said, the cost was slightly over 4.1 million, but with additional continuation credits that they've offered, it actually nets to around 3.9 million for 2026. So saving roughly 200,000 a year, and we increased our coverage by 25 million. So all great news.
That's a 50% increase in our insurance coverage. It's costing us
Less.
$250,000 less.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yep.
Cameron does a good job.
Yeah. It's
Thank you,
been
Cameron.
great. Yes, sir. Thank
Any
you.
questions by the commission?
Good
Moving
job.
on to navigation, Mr. Regan Brown.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. The Senate released their version of the energy and water bill right before Thanksgiving. It included approximately $19 million for O&M on the channel and for FY '26. The Corps' capability for FY '26 is $44 million, and that's what we went to DC and New Orleans and Vicksburg last year requesting. So obviously there's quite a bit of shortage there. The Corps has indicated, based on carryover from last year, that they could be as much as $16 million short for the channel for FY '26. So we're going to be working hard over the next several months. John and Ricky are going to Washington Mardi Gras, and then later on when we do our Begging for Bucks tour, we're going to be working hard to fill in that gap so that we can maintain the channel. Fighting hard for discretionary funding from the Corps, and then also pestering Congress to up the amount we get. Also, there's been a lot of concern recently over the congestion of barge and ship traffic around Devil's Elbow. So much so that the Harbor Safety Committee's subcommittee on navigation has taken up the issue. And thus far, the Coast Guard has held 2 meetings, really brainstorming sessions with shippers, tug companies, pilots, the Coast Guard, the Corps, and the ports. And Todd and I have been participating in those meetings. And hopefully the working group can come up with a solution about the congestion and the upcoming congestion with some of these other projects like Woodside. It's right in that Devil's Elbow area, so it could really be a problem in the future. So we're working on that. So, and any other questions y'all have?
Yeah, Regan, on the shortage, has this happened before, and has the port been able to recover from it?
It has. Yes, it's pretty routine, actually. The president's budget in the past has been as much as half of what we need, but we've always filled in that gap with the discretionary funding that the Corps gets. So we compete well for those dollars.
And that's the 16 million we're talking about?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll be
He
looking
did
to
say
maybe get
John
half
and
of that
Ricky was
as an
gonna take
8?
care of it in Washington.
That's right.
You should be able to come back from Washington with that 60.
I have no doubt that John and Ricky would take care of that in Washington.
Well, honestly, it
No
gives
doubt.
us a good opportunity to tell our story. Like you said, we compete well for those dollars. Our story is better than anyone's, I would say. And so any chance we get to scream from the rooftops that we need the money,
We
we
will.
take it.
Appreciate that. Thank you, Mr. Brown.
Appreciate it.
Any other questions by the commission? Moving on to, operations, Mr. Todd Henderson.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. Recently at City Docks, we've been fairly busy. Had several barges and a ship of aluminum hydrate. It's about 20,000 tons. Cement and piling ship's been about 56,000 tons. We've had a little bit of project cargo, a liquid ship, and another transfer ship. On the schedule right now, we've got 2 more cement and piling ships on the schedule. It's going to be about another 70,000 tons. Aluminum hydrate aluminum hydrate barges, about 8 more barges. 14,000 cubic meters of lumber, a 13,000 short ton bag rice shipment. It's in super sacks. And then it's BT1. Actually been a little bit slow. We've had 3 ships, about 134,000 tons of pet coke. We've got a ship that's been anchored out, waiting to come in until we're waiting on inventory of raw coke, about 55,000 tons. The industrial canal, it's been busy. We've had 7 barges of pipe shipped out by Venture Global, and a rice shipment of about 6,000 tons of bulk rough rice. On the schedule, we've got several more barges of the pipe. We've got 12 aggregate barges and another bulk rough rice ship of about 22,000 tons. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Henderson. Moving on to cargo and trade development, Mr. Therens.
Yes, Mr. President. Last week, I had a chance to attend the Rice Outlook Conference in New Orleans. Had a chance to meet with some of the suppliers and the mills. And in addition to the current rice ship that we're loading, we're working on 2 additional shipments, one for January and February, one for 8,000 tons going to Dominican Republic, and in February, another 12,000 going to Haiti. But I just found out before this meeting that the January shipment is booked at an increase from 8,000 to 8,500.
Wow.
This week, we had a chance to meet with people from representatives, from Hawkins Treatment Center in Sulphur. They acquired a new customer, and they're looking for a location to bring in about 1,000 tons of citric acid in super sacks, have us unloaded and then loaded to trucks for their treatment facility. And then we also continue to work on processing permits for 2026, the line handlers, stevedores, vessel agencies, as well as tugboat companies. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Any questions by the commission? Thank you, Mr. Therens.
Thank you, Terrence. Keep up the good work.
Moving on to engineering, Mr. Nick.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. Here at City Docks at our berth 6 and 7 project, we now have all the piles in place. The deck is poured and dredging has begun. So we're dredging these berths to match the ship channel. So we're going to have 40 feet of draft at this berth, or these berths, which is very significant. This is virgin cut. They've never been this deep before. So we only have one other berth at City Docks that has 40 feet of water. So we're very excited about this. Todd's already looking for customers that can come in and use it. And we also, once the dredging is complete, we'll install the fenders. And if everything stays on track, we'll have a big ribbon cutting at the end of the summer. So it's a very exciting project and looking forward to it. Yeah. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Nick.
Thank you.
Any questions by the commission? Thank you for that report, Mr. Nick. Moving on to state lobbyists. Mr. Self, is there anything?
Nothing more than what's in the report.
Okay. Federal?
Nothing.
Nothing else? Mr. Ringo, are we going to need to go into any executive session?
That's your pleasure, but I don't need to. No, sir.
Okay, I don't think that we'll be needing to. Okay, at this time, is there any other matters to come before the commission at this time? Hearing none, at this time, I would ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I have a motion and a second. We are now adjourned.